For 28 years, an American man raised a Vietnamese boy as his own. But as the years passed and the boy became a man, one question kept echoing in his heart. Who am I? This is the true story of Stephen Marshall, born as Vương Minh Thắng, and his father, Philip, who crossed oceans, decades, and memories to bring a lost son home. The child who left Hanoi. The year was 1994. And Hanoi was a city still finding its way after a long and difficult chapter of history. In a quiet corner of the city, at the SOS Children's Village, the cries of newborns blended with the hum of motorbikes and the smell of morning rain. One of those babies was a boy named Vương Minh Thắng. He was small, frail, and barely a year old when life made its first cruel choice for him to grow up without a mother's arms. At that time, far across the Pacific, Philip Marshall, a 37-year-old teacher from the United States, was volunteering in Vietnam. He had come to love the country, its warmth, its resilience, its people. But what he didn't expect was to fall in love with a child. The first time Philip saw Thang, the boy was asleep. Tiny hands curled under his chin, his breath soft and uneven. "I remember thinking," Philip would later say, "this boy doesn't need pity. He needs a chance." And so on December 29, 1994, Philip signed the papers. He promised to give this Vietnamese baby a home, not just a house, but a life. He named him Stephen, after his own grandfather, and carried him across the ocean to a small town in Oregon, where snow fell quietly outside their window that first winter night. Philip raised Stephen alone. He was a single father who made pancakes on Sundays, read bedtime stories in 2 languages, and kept a small box of memories from Vietnam: a faded birth certificate, a tiny photograph, a hospital tag with the name Vương Minh Thắng. Every now and then, Stephen would ask, "Dad, where did I come from?" And Philip would smile softly and say, "From a beautiful place called Vietnam. One day, I'll take you there." But life has a way of moving fast. Years passed. School, friends, college, a new job. The box stayed closed, but never forgotten. Then, one evening, after Philip's 65th birthday, he quietly placed the box on the table. "Stephen," he said, "I think it's time we go home. The journey back." It was December 2022 when father and son boarded a plane bound for Hanoi. For Philip, it was a familiar land, a place that had shaped his compassion decades ago. For Stephen, it was a mystery that carried his blood and his name. When the plane landed, the warm air hit his face like a memory he didn't know he had. The language was unfamiliar, but something in his heart stirred. A strange comfort in the chaos of horns and voices. Their first stop was 22A Gieng Mut Street, Hai Ba Trung District, the address listed on the old birth certificate. But when they arrived, the building was different. The neighbors didn't know the name Vuong Thi Vuong. Her family had moved away long ago. For the first time, Stephen felt lost. The street signs blurred. The years between him and his past seemed to stretch endlessly. But Philip wasn't ready to give up. He went to the Hang Trong Ward police station, carrying the worn papers in his hand. To their surprise, the officers didn't dismiss them. They listened, carefully, kindly. One of them, a middle-aged officer named Nguyen, took the papers and said, "We'll do our best. No one should live without knowing where they come from." And so began the search. Over the next few days, the police combed through old records, verified documents, and traced the last known address of Ms. Vuong's family. There were dead ends, moments of silence, and quiet hope. Then, one afternoon, the call came. The police had found her. She was alive, still living in Hanoi, though she had long moved from that old house. When Philip told Stephen, his son just stared in disbelief. For so long, mother had been just a word, a ghost in stories and dreams. And now, she was real, a living person waiting somewhere in the same city. They were asked to come to the police station the next morning. That night, neither of them slept. Philip sat by the window, looking out over the quiet city, whispering a prayer of gratitude. Stephen lay awake, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. What would he say? What if she didn't remember him? What if she had moved on? But deep down, He knew. This was the moment he had been waiting for all his life. The reunion. The morning of December 31st dawned cold and gray, the kind of day when the city feels suspended between 2 years, 2 worlds. At the Hang Trong police station, a few officers stood quietly as the reunion was prepared. Philip held his son's hand. Stephen's palms were trembling. And then, she entered. Ms. Vuong Thi Vuong, now a woman in her 50s, stepped slowly into the room. Her eyes were unsure, her hands clutching a handkerchief. For a moment, the world fell silent. She looked at the man before her, tall, foreign-looking, with gentle eyes, and then at the photograph the police had shown her, a baby wrapped in a white blanket. Her lips parted, her eyes filled, and before anyone could speak, she whispered, almost inaudibly, "Thang, is that you?" Stephen's heart broke open. He didn't remember her face, her voice, her scent, but in that instant, something ancient within him recognized her. He took one step forward, then another, and finally he was in her arms. She wept, he wept, and Philip, standing behind them, felt tears blur his vision. For nearly 3 decades, he had carried this boy across the world, and now he was witnessing him return to where he truly belonged. "I'm sorry," she kept saying through her tears. "I never stopped thinking of you, not a single day." Stephen held her hand tightly. "You don't have to be sorry," he said. "You gave me life. That's enough." The officers stood quietly in the background, some wiping their eyes. It was the kind of moment that needed no translation, the kind that speaks in the universal language of love. Philip stepped forward then, placing a gentle hand on Ms. Vuong's shoulder. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice breaking. "Thank you for letting me raise him. You gave me a son." She nodded, unable to speak. The 3 of them, mother, son, and father, stood together, framed by the pale morning light that streamed through the window. It was, as one officer later said, a moment that no one in that room will ever forget. As I watched their story unfold, I realized something profound, that love, in its truest form, doesn't always come from where we begin, but from where we are found. Stephen's journey was not just about finding his mother, it was about finding himself, the boy who once belonged to 2 worlds and finally became whole, and Philip, a man who proved that fatherhood is not written in DNA, but in devotion. Stories like theirs remind me that kindness travels farther than bloodlines, and that gratitude, quiet, enduring, and human, is what truly binds us all.